Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Tomorrow is Decoration Day, and I'm reading as a background for our thought this meditation. Two men faced each other in a prison cell. They belonged to different countries, their roots watered by streams from different cultures. One was under sentence of death, which sentence was scheduled to be executed within a few short hours. The other was a visitor and a friend. This, even though months before they had been enemies in the Great War. They bade each other farewell for the last time. The visitor was deeply troubled, but he could not find his way through the emotional haze in which he was caught to give voice to what cried out for utterance. This is what he wanted to say, but could not find the words to say. We may not be able to stop and undo the hard old wrongs of the great world outside, but through you and me no evil shall come either in the unknown where you are going or in this imperfect and haunted dimension of awareness through which I move. Thus between us we shall cancel out all private and personal evil, thus arrest private and personal consequences to blind action and reaction, thus prevent specifically the general incomprehension and misunderstanding, hatred and revenge of our time from spreading further. The end of the quotation. The forces at work in the world which seem to undermine the future and the fate of mankind seem so vast, impersonal, and unresponsive to the will and desire of any individual that it is easy to abandon all hope for a sane and peaceful order of life for mankind. Nevertheless, it is urgent to hold steadily in mind the utter responsibility of the solitary individual to do with all his heart and mind everything to arrest the development of the consequences of private and personal evil resulting from the interaction of the impersonal forces that surround us. To cancel out between you and another human being all personal and private evil, to put your life squarely on the side of the good thing because it is good and for no other reason. This is to anticipate the kingdom of God at the level of your functioning. At long last, a man must be deeply convinced that the contradictions of life which he encounters are not final, that the radical tension between good and evil as he sees it and feels it does not have the last word about the meaning of life and the nature of existence, that there is a spirit in man and in the world working always against the thing that destroys and cuts down. Thus he will live wisely and courageously his little life, and those who see the sunlight in his face will drop their tools and follow him. There is no ultimate negation for the man for whom it is categorical that the ultimate destiny of man on this planet is a good destiny. Many years ago, as a matter of fact, at the end of the First World War, Herman Hagedorn wrote a poem, a line of which I want to throw in relief as the word for our consideration in the background. And this is the line: we died, but you who live must do a harder thing than dying is. For you must think, 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 and ghosts shall drive you on. It is a commonplace remark to say on an occasion like this that the forces that are pitted against each other in the great outside world are so vast and so overwhelming. The policies that determine the manipulation of states and nations and armies and peoples are so impersonal and far-reaching that the private individual, the so-called little man, the individual like me and you, seems somehow to be powerless to affect any of these great forces that are determining and shaping the destiny of man. But this is not all the truth. I would remind you this morning of another dimension of man's experience in this regard, and it is this, that there is a world, a private world of the individual, in which the individual's will, in a sense, is as searching and imperious, and in a sense as absolute, as is the will of God. It may be true that from where you sit or from where I sit, we may not be able to disarm a single man and a single nation anywhere in the world. It may be that nothing that we can do immediately can relax the intent of nations to guarantee and perpetuate themselves even at the expense of other nations, which in turn will brood wars of various kinds. But there is one thing that is true for you and me. We can see to it that we will not encourage in ourselves, in the private world in which we live and function, in the details of our common life by which we relate to the members of our family, to the people on our job, the people in our immediate community, that at this level we shall not encourage the things that we condemn in the great outer world. We cannot then expect to be against war and against armed violences, against all of the means and methods and procedures of destruction that is a part of the etiquette of the modern nation. We cannot be against that. And at the same time, in our private lives, encourage all kinds of little violences, take advantage of the weakness of individuals who come under our little power, exploit the emotions of those persons who are related to us in ways that are primary and direct. We must see to it then that the things that we encourage in ourselves are not at the same time the things that we condemn in the great outer world, so that the things about which we dream for mankind we will work at in our homes, on our street, in our communities, in our state, in our country. Now there's a second observation here, and that is that we are under primary and personal obligation to make what we hunger for real. Sometimes we are so surrounded by ideas about reward and punishment for things that we do. We sometimes seem to live under the shadow of a kind of overall judgment that makes us do the good thing with an eye on the reward for doing the good thing, or shrink from doing the evil thing because of the kind of punishment that is involved in the doing of the evil thing. Now, there is a sense in which, of course, we operate on this level, but there is no true authenticity of character operating at that level. What we must do, if the thing for which we hunger is real to us, is to put at the disposal of the little deed the great faith and the great concern, to put at the disposal of the simple act the total commitment of the life, so that what we hunger for mankind will be real to us in that area over which we do have control. And then the final thing follows, that we have within ourselves a very great responsibility to see to it that we will put our lives at the disposal of the things for which we stand, and that we will put our lives and their resources over against the things against which we stand, so that whatever we do, it will register towards the fulfillment of the big dream and the great hope and the overwhelming desire for mankind. As Herman Hagedorn reminds us, as a voice coming from the dead, from all of the graves of all the soldiers around the world, we died, yes, but you who live must do a harder thing than dying is, for you must think, and ghosts, our ghosts, shall drive you on. This is the word. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer.